everyone, and welcome to Ready to Love. And this is going to be a recap review of another exit interview. And this one is going to be for Marcia, because we know that she got booted off the show last week. And so she's been doing her rounds on the interviews like normal. I happened to catch the interview she did with Pat and Cam on their YouTube channel. You can go over there and check it out. And then I also saw a part of her interview that she did with Chloe Johnson on her YouTube channel. Chloe's interview was a lot longer, like over an hour. I didn't watch it all, y'all. I think I watched 20 minutes of it. And then also Pat and Cam's interview is short. They do short interviews. So it was only about 15 minutes. But honestly, as I was watching the interviews, I think I kind of had the same opinion a little bit of Marcia. I liked Marcia. I don't know too many people that didn't like Marcia. Marcia didn't really do anything on the show that made you not like her. And then I think with the guys, people were kind of saying that Marcia really didn't do anything that made them like Marcia. I think that kind of is what's going on with Marcia, that she's just sort of in the middle. There's nothing you could say that makes you not like her. But then also, what is it about her that makes her stand out? I actually believe that might be what's going on with Marcia. And when I say stand out, I'm talking about standing out in the eyes of men and not standing out in front of us women, because one thing that makes Marcia stand out with us as women probably is her fashion. She is a fashion designer. And Marcia would have the fashions, she's always going to be really done up. Some people thought maybe she wore too much makeup, or maybe they didn't like, some of the wigs that she wore, or whatever else the case may be. But in that area of presentation, she would, I guess, stand out. There was a couple of times when Marcia would talk about how she didn't want to just be known for being lustful or being beautiful. But I will say this. I will say that a lot of times Marcia wore revealing outfits. So I always say this about people. I never really get why people say they don't want to be viewed a certain kind of way, but that's kind of what is presented to us. It's always so weird. I really don't care how Marcia dresses, but it just raised a red flag when she said that, she wanted more than just being viewed as being lustful, or men just telling her that she's pretty, but she has a lot more to her. And so to get into this, I'm not really going to go too much in the interviews that she did with Chloe and that she did with Pat and Cam, because to be honest with you, I was more interested in a couple of other things with Marcia. One was some unreleased footage from Ready to Love that was posted today, and I want to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at this. This is from when Marcia was on the date with Tony and Antron, which was the friend, and I think this part was cut out of the regular episode, but it actually was kind of an interesting conversation. So let's go.
With women so independent, I'm assuming you guys have, education behind you, all of these things, right? Do you feel like it's difficult for you to get into a follower role when you're a natural born leader?
No, please, somebody. I've told Tony this. Make the decisions. Order my drinks. I don't care.
Wow.
So this came up a lot in the conversation between Morgan and Marcia about I'm tired of being a strong woman, a strong black woman. And so it sounds like they both have the same dilemma. And so maybe that's kind of what attracted them to Tony, because Tony presents himself as this strong, leading man. And so maybe what they looked at Tony was possibly he could come over and fill this role in my life and take over some of these role and responsibilities that I have. Maybe that was the initial attraction to Tony.
I want to be led. It's part of my 5-year plan.
You're really at that point?
I'm really at that point.
Okay.
I can lock it up. I've done things. I'm independent, but this is I have to be. There's no man in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just ready to put it all down and be like, whatever he said. You know? Yeah, 100%.
Well, it looked like Tony liked the answer. Tony was over there smiling. I still say to this day that I think Tony actually maybe liked Marcia a little bit more than he liked Morgan. But Tony is so into the chase, into the hunt. Morgan just presented more of a conquest. I think even Morgan, I even think Tony is more interested in beating Lyndon than he is in conquering Morgan. Whether he beats Lyndon in the end and conquers Morgan, Tony ain't gonna stick around. This is all a game for Tony. This is about the hunt and the kill. But the other thing that was interesting about Marci is because when she was on the channel or doing the YouTube video, Chloe was bringing up some of her Instagram fashions and, complimenting her on some of her designs. A plug to Marcia. She's just not a fashion, like has a boutique or something. She's actually a real fashion designer, which means, like she said, she's cutting patterns, she's designing, she's doing it all. So it made me go on over to her Instagram page, which I had never done before. And I noticed that she had a recent post on her Instagram page. So this is what was on her Instagram page. I want to read it and go over it because I think this is kind of giving me more insight to Marcia and sort of her style of thinking and how me as an outsider looking in, I could see how she's getting sort of tripped up in the dating world. I really could see how she's getting tripped up because to me, I think she's looking at dating from the wrong vantage point. And when I say the wrong vantage point, she's looking at dating from her lens, her perspective. She's not also looking at dating from the other person's perspective as well. And to be successful in dating, you have to look at both ends. You can't just look at what you want. You also have to look at what other people want, because dating and marriage is a marriage of two people. So you can't just be looking to get your needs fulfilled. You also have to be looking at, do I offer and bring to the table the things that someone else might be looking for in a relationship? Because that's when the happy marriage comes together. That's when the coming together happens, when two people have common goals, common interests, and want some of the same things or going in the same direction. And so if you're never looking at what that other person wants, then you're going to have problems. And if your only strategy is just to stick with what you're doing and then keep waiting for someone to want exactly what you want or want exactly who you are, you're going to miss the opportunity on a lot of different people, because really you're actually being narrowly focused. You're actually narrowly focused on just you. You're not leaving enough room for other people's needs, wants, desires, and you're not leaving enough flexibility in yourself to be able to come along and gel and mesh with another person. What you're really looking for is, you're saying, I'm already established, I know who I am, and I'm waiting for someone to come along to fit into my box. That's very limiting. People who actually go out in the dating world and date like this, it doesn't mean that maybe eventually one day you may find your person. You may, but it really severely limits the possibility that you will. And if you do, the time it takes for you for that process to work for you is very, very, very long. So let's read this Instagram post. First of all, she says, this was exhilarating and exhausting all at the same time. I am fully aware at how rare and unorthodox this opportunity was. And for that, I am forever grateful to Ready to Love. Now, y'all know me. There is so much more to me than was shown in these scaled down clips. Two things: my personality is huge and I don't pursue men. Remember, she had said this about Blue. I think this is a reference to Blue because Blue wasn't trying to pursue her or pursue too many women. And I think what she's sticking to is the fact of saying, I don't pursue men. So the friendly thing the man alluded to is factual. I friend zoned until I was sure. Things just had to make sense to me with these guys on a deeper level outside of attraction and lust. I crave depth, value, and substance. Things that actually sustain a relationship. Truly, I believe vulnerability is activated with great discernment. You rationalize who deserves that delicate piece of you. I'm so careful with myself, and I love that for me. My carefulness has served as a filter for the F-boys. Shield me from a lot of pain and damage. Thank God. As y'all will see why in these upcoming episodes. I told myself going into this day one, you don't win a man, you find your person. TV shows like this could oftentimes feel like a game show versus a love show. And baby, I don't play with my heart. So to be honest with you, I think she really did encapsulate her thoughts into this Instagram post. So be honest with you, I would rather kind of talk about that because it really did give me more insight into Marcia than maybe some of the interviews did. So I will say this. In the part where Marcia mentions, I crave depth, value, and substance. I'm going to say the same thing to Marcia that I said to Jonique. I know that Miami is a competitive city when it comes to beautiful women. I understand the competition is fierce because Miami attracts a lot of beautiful women. Just like I live in LA, and I told you guys, LA has a lot of beautiful women. So I think that when you live in cities like Miami, New York, LA, where there are just tons of beautiful women, I think you have to try to stand out in other areas besides your beauty. And when I look at the Instagram of Marcia, I'm going to say the same thing I said to Jonique. Where is all this depth and substance that you crave and you talk about? Because your biggest brand of yourself, if I don't know you, I don't know anything about you, I'm going to go to your Instagram page. That's what people do now. And I don't see the depth. I don't see the substance. I don't see you volunteering. I don't see pictures with the family. I don't see you doing other things besides posing, glam shots, things like that. And I know there is so much more to Marcia. Why doesn't her Instagram reflect all these other things about her? It's the same thing I said about Jonique. If these are the things that you crave, if this is the man that you're trying to attract, if this is the life that you really want to build, I don't understand why your biggest brand out there, which nowadays is Instagram, why does your Instagram not reflect where you're trying to go and who you're trying to be? It confuses me, and I'm confused as a female. So why wouldn't you guys believe a man would be confused? It just dumbfounds me why women's Instagram pages are really so narrowly focused on one thing, and that is about their bodies, their looks, superficial stuff, when these women are smart, intelligent, and have so much more about them. Why can't your page be a combination of both? You can maybe have some thirst trap pictures if you want, some glam shots, some booty shots, whatever you want. But why not round it out? This is what I'm wondering. Young people, tell me, where am I missing it as an older person? Why don't you round out your Instagram page so that it shows all these wonderful facets to you, so that when you do come on Ready to Love, Marcia, men aren't just approaching you based on lust. They're not just approaching you based on your looks and your body. They have something else to go off of. I will never forget the date that Marcia had with Blue. And Blue was telling her about the things he likes to do. Go boating, fishing, all this other stuff. And Marcia said, I don't like nothing outdoors. Nothing outdoors. This is what she said. I don't know how you connect with a man when you don't like to do things a man like to do. I just don't understand it. Men are not going to want to just go to clubs and drink. They're just not going to want to go out and take you out on fancy dinners. They're not going to just want to go shopping. Men have other interests. And if you're not showing those sides of you in which men also like to do, where they could see themselves saying, wow, she likes to do this kind of stuff, I would love to take her boating and fishing. I would love to do these things with her. But if all the women are showing are glamorous shots, booty shots, laying on the beach, then men think, well, how do I fit in? Unless I'm taking her on a fabulous trip, unless I'm taking her to a club and ordering bottle service, is there any more room in my life for her? And a lot of men will come to the conclusion and say, no. Women, change your Instagram. If you are now if you don't want no husband, if you're not trying to be in no serious relationship, keep your Instagram the way it is. But if you're trying to be out here and trying to do something different, let your Instagram reflect where you're trying to go, so other people can look at you and say, hey, she going where I want to go. I'm going to call her up. I'm going to drop down in her DMs because she's doing stuff I want to do, and maybe we can do those things together. A lot of people probably say, well, if I was in a relationship, I would change my Instagram. No, Because let me tell you, most men are astute enough these days to know that they can't come in and tell no woman what to do with her Instagram. So if you believe a man is going to approach you, let's say a man doesn't like your Instagram. He thinks it's too salacious. He thinks it's too many body pictures. You think a man is going to bank on the fact that he's going to be able to go out with you and then be able to come and tell you, I want you to change all your Instagram pictures? He's not going to do that. He's not going to want to come in and be controlling. Then next thing you know, people be labeling him like the Blakes of the world, trying to tell you what to do. He'd be a DeMario of the world, trying to control you. He's not going to do that. So if he doesn't see something he likes, he's not going to bank on the fact that he's going to implant himself in your life and then start telling you what to do. So no, he's just going to avoid you. And this other notion that, well, if I was in a relationship, he wouldn't need to tell me, I would stop doing it. No one's going to do that either. Just like women want to see men doing things, so do men. Let me tell you, if you are in the corporate world or any other workplace in the life, when you get ready to hire someone for a job, you don't bank on the fact that they'll start doing the job after you hire them. Okay? Which means no one's going to wait for you to become the woman they want you to be after they choose you. No, they want to see you in that role now, and then they choose you. If any of you are on a job and any of you got promoted to a manager level or any other type of level, odds are before they promoted you, you were doing some of the duties of a manager. Odds are they gave you a test projects. They said, we want to see how she handles this because this is a management duty. We want to see how she handles this, how she steps up to the plate. Then once they got enough evidence that you could be the person they wanted for the job, that's when they hired you. So if you're waiting around and saying, well, I will clean up my Instagram, a picture, photos after some man chooses me, then you doing it all wrong. You are doing it all wrong because I guarantee you, no husband wants a wife whose Instagram is a thirst trap, period. Unless she's in that business, unless that is her business. You know, she's an entertainer. You know, she's into some type of where that is part of her brand, how she makes her money. Men do not want that for to see their wife out there showing all their assets to any old man. The game plan is all wrong, ladies. The game plan is all wrong. Like I've been saying with Jeffrey and everyone else, don't go off what people say. Go off what they do. So although I hear Marcia, and I'm telling you, I like Marcia. Although I hear Marcia say she wants depth and she wants substance, if I listen to her, I'm like, yeah, girl, that sounds good. But if I watch her, it doesn't align up. And that confuses me. Doesn't mean she really doesn't want depth and substance. No, it doesn't mean that. I actually think she does want that. But her presentation, her brand doesn't back up with what she says. And that's a conflict for me. And if I'm a guy out here and I have two conflicting pieces of information, if I have her words, but then I see this over here, I'm going to go with what I see. That's what men are going to go with. They're going to go with what they see, not what you're telling them. I'm going to give a little bit more information also on this. And remember, I'm just an old woman out here. My little advice could be worth a zero, a nothing. Now, I'm going to go into this little thing about that Morgan has been mentioning. Now we hear Marcia say it, Cynthia also mentioning, saying that they are tired of being the strong woman and they've had to be this way because they haven't had a man in their life to do things. So I'm going to give women who are struggling with this some real practical advice because I'm telling you, this is another area where you're asking men to go out on a leap on you when they haven't seen any evidence of it. So what a lot of women say, and even what Marcia is saying, is she needs you to prove to her that you're a certain type of person before she'll let her guards down, before she'll become more vulnerable. And this is what has kept the F-boys out of her life because she uses this as a discernment. I think it's good to have the gift of discernment. I think it's good to have some very good systems in place to keep the F-boys out of her life. Like I said, I like Marcia, and I think there's a lot of things that she probably is doing correctly. But like I said, I can also see some things where she might need some fine tuning and a little bit of help. So I'm going to give a little bit of practical advice. Just like I said, in the corporate world, if I want to possibly promote you to manager of my corporation, I'm going to give you some test assignments. I'm going to say, I'm going to start testing you with small things that don't have big consequences if you mess them up. You know, my stuff ain't going to fall apart. And then as you excel at those things, then I'm going to promote you. Well, one of the things that I'm going to say to women who say they're strong, independent, and the reason why they haven't been able to trust a man is because the men haven't been showing them things. I'm going to go and put some work on the women. And the work I'm going to put on the women is, have you been testing a man with small things? Because a lot of women don't do that. A lot of women don't test men with small things. And you know why I know they don't? Because I'm a landlord. And one thing I know as a landlord is I've had a lot of single women, black and white, whatever. And I can tell you that I will see a single woman have plenty of dates. Men courting them, taking them out to dinner, or doing all sorts of things. But then I will come to their home and I'll see something like Kevin Samuels used to say, a smoke detector beeping. And I'll think to myself, you've been out on all these dates, and not one time have you tested this man with a small task that says, before you come pick me up on a date, can you come change this 9-volt battery in my smoke detector so it's not beeping? This is why I know that a lot of women aren't even testing men with small things. I'll come to a woman's house and there'll be very small things that I'll say, wow, look at that light in the ceiling. It requires a step ladder to change it because it's high up in the sky. You mean to tell me you've been walking around here in the dark because all these men you're going out with, not one of them have you asked to come over, bring a step ladder and change a light bulb? Because you're waiting on me as the female landlord to come change a light bulb? Why don't we start testing some men with small things in your life and see if you can start promoting them to big things? No one's telling you about being a follower with giving him your checkbook and access to your money. Why not trust him with some small things first to see if he can step up to those things? But a lot of women, they don't ask. And a lot of times they don't relinquish control in even the small areas of their lives. Women, we make decisions every day. You go out and buy a new computer. Have you ever asked a guy to go along and give you advice on what type of computer to buy and trusted his opinion and actually bought that computer? Have you ever been out buying a car or anything else and asked a guy his opinion and then trusted that guy's opinion and did exactly what he said? Have you ever done small things like this? Have you ever taken the advice of a man in small areas and actually followed him in a small area so eventually you lead up to big areas? Marcia mentioned on this tape that order for me. Order for you. How, Marcia? Order for you after you told him the drink you want and he just places the order with the waitress? Or did you trust him enough to say, you know what, you pick out a drink for me and I'm going to drink whatever drink you chose? Or did you tell him the drink and tell him, you know what, just order it for me? Two different things. One involves a trust to pick something that you might think I like. And another one is basically, I already know what I want. I already know what I would choose. And I'm going to just tell you, kind of what, and I'm just going to give you the rights to pick out what I want. Two different things. What are you actually trusting him with? And are you willing to take his advice even when it may not be something you choose for yourself? Because that actually is what is being led. How oftentimes are you doing that? I would give I would give these tips to women who are struggling with not being able to test men in small areas of their life so that they can actually create an environment in which men like to come in and thrive. Men are task oriented. They like to do things. A lot of men do want to provide. A lot of men do want to protect. A lot of men do want to be the heroes in your life. But if you don't create the spaces for them to be able to do those things, then they're not able to show their skill set. So it's one area where women say, I want to be able to trust a man, but then they fall down on the job. You don't trust a man with the big things in your life right away. Just like Marcia said, you don't. You don't take a man from just meeting him to all of a sudden trusting him to big moments in your life. Start trusting men in small areas of your life to see what type of man it is. Here's a homework assignment, ladies. The next time you have a man that invites you out, more than likely he's going to invite you out to something inconsequential like dinner. Fine, go out to dinner, have a good time. The next time he wants to ask you out, this is what you say to him. I really would like to go out with you this weekend, but unfortunately, I've been having problems with my car, and there's something going wrong with my left tire. I don't know if I got a nail in my tire. I don't know if I need to get a new tire. I don't know what's going on with it, but the air keeps coming out of it. And I feel like my car is about to be on a flat tire. So I'm going to be tied up with that. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to go out with you. If that man doesn't say to you, you know what? Hey, why don't I take a look at your tire? Why don't I help you figure out what's going on with your tire? If that man doesn't offer help or services to you on something small, then that tells you he's not ready for the big things. But here's the test for women. When man does come along and says, you know what, I will come over and help you with that item, that smoke detector, that tire, that whatever you have in your life, because I'm telling you, we got a lot of things in our life that we could use some help with. Make a list of it, ladies. Make a list of it and make an order of the things, help you need from least significant to most significant, and start testing some of these men with some of the least significant things. Maybe the date shouldn't be at the hottest new restaurant ordering the most expensive drinks. Maybe the date needs to be going out on the weekend, picking out a new tire and see what tire he picks out. Maybe the date means doing something different. I remember when I was dating, I was about to get a new car and I had my older car, and I needed to sell my old car because I was trading in to get a new car. Well, when I went to the dealer, okay, I already knew dealers be trying to get all your money. You know, they trying to give you, shortchange you on whether or not your car is worth how much it's worth. We all know that when you go to these mechanic shops or whatever, they do treat women differently than they treat men. So when there was a man interested in me, and this was after my father had passed away, because honestly, when my father was alive, this is something I would have called my dad over. This is something where I would ask my father, advice. What should I do? Can you come with me? All that. But once my father passed, there was a void in my life because now I had to do some of these things by myself. And I miss my father for those roles in my life because that was what he provided for me. So once I started being out there by myself and had to be an independent woman because I really didn't have my father anymore to provide some of those spots in my life, I realized, dang, I got to do this on my own. So I remember saying, I don't want to sell my car to the dealer because I know they're going to cheat me, because I had already learned this from my father in past years. I already knew the game plan. So the man said, you know what? You don't have to turn your car in because they're going to cheat you. And he said, you should sell your car independently to another person. I said, well, I would love to do that and get top dollar for my car. I said, but as a female, I don't feel comfortable meeting people to buy my car. I don't feel comfortable putting ads up and having to meet strangers. I don't feel comfortable putting a sign in my car saying car for sale and call me. I don't feel comfortable with that. And you know what the man said to me? He said, no problem. I'll do it for you. I said, well, how are you going to do that? You know what he said? He said, you know what? We'll trade cars for the week. He goes, I know I can sell your car in a week. This is a good car. I know I can get for you way more than the dealer. I said, what? You'll do that for me? He said, absolutely. You drive my car and I'll drive your car for the week. I'll put a sign in the window and people will see me and they will call my number. And you know what happened, people? He sold my car in a week for over $3,000 more than the dealer was going to give me. And he took care of all the paperwork. And what I'm saying to you is you guys have to create scenarios in which you can start trusting a man in small areas to see if he is the type of man that can step up to the big areas. But a lot of women are putting all the work on men, and they're not putting enough work on them to say, am I creating those spaces in my life? Trust a man for something small. Trust a man to fix the knob on your kitchen cabinet because your knob is loose. Trust a man to change your beeping smoke detector. Trust a man to take your car and either get you a new tire, help you figure out what tire to get, put a plug in it, do whatever. Start creating more situations and interactions with men that's just not about going out to dinner, wearing fancy clothes, putting on a bunch of makeup, putting on your favorite wig, buying a fancy martinis, drinking a Casamigos. Okay? Do something where men want to show up for you and where you can vet them. When Marcia said, you don't win a man, you find your person, I'm going to disagree with her. I'm not disagreeing her with the part about you don't win a man, because I don't believe that either, Marcia. But you don't find your person. You don't find your man finds you. Let's be clear. I've said this plenty of seasons in the past. Women got it all wrong. Men find you. They find you by your fruits and by the bait that you put out. Like I told you with Jeffrey, men find you by the bait that you put out and the fruit that you leave behind on the trail of you. They find you and then they decide if they want you. If you're out here trying to find a man, more than likely you're going to find a man that doesn't want to be found because he's not ready. But because you found him and you're offering him something, he's sure enough going to take it from you. But when you practice the idea that I'm not going to look for a man, but I'm definitely going to leave some fruit on the ground, I'm going to throw out bait so that that man finds me. Let me tell you, a lion can smell his prey from miles away. Miles away. And that's what women need to learn. So I'll disagree with Marcia when she says you find your person, because that tells me what I think she's doing out here. And she's thinking that she has all the power in the dating world, which is all she needs to do is vet the man, find the man she wants, and then say yes to him. Nope, it's not how it works, Marcia. He finds you. No, this is how it works. You throw out the bait. The lion smells your bait, sees your bait. He comes and approaches you. He puts in an offer, and then you, Marcia, gets to say yes or no to that man. That's how it works. But if you are not fishing with the right bait, no man come along. Also, if you're fishing with the wrong bait, you attract the wrong type of man. So you don't find him. He finds you. Then once he puts in a bid for you, wants to capture you, then you allow yourself to be captured, or you say no. That's where your power comes in as the woman. But you got to get an offer. You got to get an offer. And right now, Marcia is not putting out enough bait for the man she wants to come and find her. Her discernment that she says is discernment and keeping the F-boys away, it's not just keeping F-boys away. It's also keeping other men away, because her bait is not the right bait. The bait that she is using is her Instagram page. It's booty shots. It's fashion. It's looks. That's bait for women, because we would love to follow her and see all her nice fashions and her makeup tips and her hair tips. But that's not bait for the type of man she's looking for, the one she says she craves of substance and depth. So she's using the wrong bait. She's using bait to capture F-boys and women. Let's be honest. Her bait is for F-boys and women who are going to admire her fashion. But her bait is not the correct bait for the man she wants, which is a man of substance and depth. That's my tip to Marcia. Like I said, I like Marcia. Marcia has a lot to work with, but she's not using what she has to work with in the best possible way. And so my hope for Marcia going forward is that she would start using the correct bait, and that she would start looking at dating from two lenses, not only her lens, but from the man's lens as well. And that she would recraft her strategy. She needs a new strategy. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Tell me what you think down below. I know I probably said a lot of stuff you don't agree with, but add to it, delete, comment, all that kind of stuff. Talk to you later. Bye.